Welcome to this episode of The Rumble, and today my guest is Ravi Singh. I did mention it, or rather he told me that he comes from Rajasthan, and he's a long way from home. We are now in Chennai, but that doesn't matter. He's involved in the business of creating modules for learning, and when I say learning, he's not a teacher in that sense of the word, but he produces programs through the digital medium. So welcome to the show, Ravi.
Thanks so much, Madhav.
Yeah, so tell me about this e-learning thing. I was very fascinated that almost everything is now being shifted into the e-sphere, or the e-world.
Sure.
So you obviously went through a school where none of this was available.
Absolutely not.
Okay,
Yeah.
so do you think what you are now making would have worked for you too in your time?
Yeah, I would have been smarter for sure.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And today, the world is changing, and in a school setup, the best thing and the worst thing about any kind of a classroom training is the trainer himself or herself.
Yes.
So if you get lucky, we probably have about 5 teachers whom we can remember for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
But with the learning, with the digital medium, what happens is you can actually learn from the best in the world. You know, so even.
But isn't the lack of the personal interface or whatever you call it, isn't that a handicap?
No, when we say e-learning, we're not taking the teacher out of the equation.
Okay. Or he or she is still there.
Still there. It's a blended learning is what works.
Okay.
And the teacher is playing the role of a facilitator, and the digital medium is just adding as a support system.
So just another element into the whole process.
Absolutely, because
okay. So when you said you're into creating modules, this is not for the education as for school. You're talking about business because you're into business.
We focus on corporate learning.
So who are your main clients?
Any corporate who has
tell me one that you've done for.
For example, in Chennai, somebody like a Ford, whom we work with, somebody like a Saint-Gobain, which is a French company, but we do a lot of work with them.
Okay.
So these are technical trainings. Like for example, Ford,
So do you go with your team to the factory and then?
Absolutely, yeah. We try to understand, because see, we work across domains. So our expertise lies in designing and developing learning solutions across media. It could be on the web, it could be on your mobile phone, it could be on the tablets.
Okay.
But the expertise for a particular subject comes from the client most of the time, or a subject matter expert. Okay. So the SME or the subject matter expert typically is provided by the client. If not, we also work with consultants, to get the expertise. So we understand the subject and then create these modules.
So what's the best situation you find when the CEO is involved in it, or is it such a big corporate body that there's some division that takes care of this? Or
No,
you find?
Typically these kind of initiatives have to be driven top down. Very large organizations, obviously, the mandate from CEO has to be there. But otherwise, the person we are dealing with is typically the Chief Learning Officer. CLO is most of the.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, in the ITS segment,
Lingo.
you have a CLO because it's not part of HR anymore.
Okay.
In the traditional setup, you have HR who handles training, but not necessarily all the time. So today, it could be part of the HR division, or it could be an independent division, which focuses only on learning. So CLO is.
So in the scheme of things in a company, how high would the CLO be ranked vis-a-vis the rest of the VPs?
No, he's a CXO. C-level executive.
Heads
learning.
Companies put in a lot of money into these things.
Not as much as they should, because training is still seen as an expense in most organizations. It should be an investment.
Oh, that's true. You probably have to combat that every time.
Absolutely, because once there is a slowdown and people cut, the first budget cut is for the training division. But actually, you should be spending more when things are down.
Skills.
Yeah, because then you're trying to upskill your staff and your team when they are not actually very busy. That's when you can upskill them. But because when you get busy, nobody has time to upskill themselves.
Okay.
So yeah,
But people even now do that. They find the slowdown coming over the horizon. They start knocking off all these.
The first
they consider these all frills
because it's an expense. They think it's an expense.
Okay,
yeah.
but it's obviously an expense. Yes, in the beginning, but it does pay off.
Yeah,
is that part of it understood by everybody in the company?
Yeah, because as I said, they have to look at it as an investment, and there are organizations who would look at it as an investment.
Tell me, in Chennai, who are the companies that really go into this kind of?
No, we do 80-85% of our work for outside India, but within India, Chennai, some of the clients we work with include Saint-Gobain, which is actually a French company.
Okay.
We work with Ford, which is an American company.
These people like Saint-Gobain, do they speak French or they speak English?
The ones we are doing for them are in English. But for example, Ford, we create in English and Tamil and for the local languages. a lot of companies like Cesteria, whom we work with in India and in Chennai as well as in some, they have offices in Noida as well.
Okay.
For them, we create stuff. We've done stuff in European languages.
Is India a leading player in this field, or you think we're just beginning this whole thing?
In terms of the market share, it can be much higher. Okay. But in terms of the learning solution providers, we have a fair number of guys, who offer e-learning solutions to the world.
So the important thing to ask is, are you able to sell your products to anybody outside the country, or they come to you and say, okay, this is what we want? In the sense, are we still an outsourcing area, or are we smart guys ourselves?
It happens both ways. We have to go out there and get business. At the same time, if you are known in the market, then there are people who approach you and say, look, I mean, through reference or whatever, and say, look, I think what you guys are doing is interesting, and probably would you want to work with us? So it happens both ways, yeah. And it also happens that a lot of times we do the outsourcing part, where one part of it we either provide end-to-end solutions, which is right from the storyboarding, the analysis and stuff till the delivery, or part of it which is just the media development part. It happens both ways, yeah.
Okay, so you heard it from him. It's still learning time for them. So as we go along, we'll just find out how the hell this whole thing works.